Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. We are approaching fantasy draft season here in 2019. I am going to break down some guys whose stock is way up recently and some guys whose stock has fallen into the tank recently based on ADP. I'm going to be using RotoViz's ADP Risers and Fallers tool. It is a paywalled item. It is on RotoViz. If you guys want to go over there and check it out, it's a site that I've used for a few years for compiling data and coming up with simple ways to show it to people on social media, and I'm going to show it to you here on this video. So I'm going to go over 5 guys whose stock is way up and 5 guys whose stock is way down, leading into your fantasy football drafts these next 2 weekends, the most important weekends in terms of the fantasy football season. Everybody's doing their drafts, whether they're high stakes drafters or whether you guys are drafting in your home leagues. This information is absolutely vital because you may look at a guy and say, well, this guy's a sleeper, but the reality is in money drafts, the prices have been moving since May. And we're going to take a look at the last 20 days, guys who have made the most moves in the top 12 rounds of drafts to try and help you make the decisions you need to make going into this weekend. So I appreciate you guys being here for another video. Thank you very much for all the love on the channel recently. Subscribers through the roof. The comments section has been outstanding. I would love to hear what other content you guys would like to see as we lead up to the season, as my in-season cadence is already set. Talked about it on stream on Twitch. And if you would do me the favor, dropping a like on this video, subscribing to the channel, and if you have a couple of extra clicks you could spare, a kind gentleman like myself, right below in the pinned comment is a link to my Instagram. If you could click that link and drop me a follow over there, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's get right into the risers and fallers. The first guy that we're going to talk about today is the largest increase over the last 20 days. And that increase is 126, almost 127 pick rise in his average draft position from last Friday when he was reinstated. Josh Gordon has made a meteoric rise up the charts. 126 picks, this gentleman has risen. And rightfully so. He was somebody who was in May and June being drafted around the 17th and 18th rounds, as there was a lot of speculation. Would he be reinstated? Would he not be reinstated? We don't know. As the season got closer, he jumped to about the 12th and 13th rounds in most of these drafts that I've been doing. Most of the drafts that I do personally are best ball drafts. I play a ton of money in daily fantasy from week in and week out. I don't have the time anymore to manage rosters, to babysit a roster through a season of transactions, talk trades with people that are trying to lowball me, deal with waivers and all that other stuff. So I draft best ball leagues. I still get all the fun of doing a draft, which is to me the most fun of the fantasy football season. And I do a lot of them. I've done over 50 so far. We'll get into my most owned, the highest owned, and players that I have at each position later this week on another video. But this is the way that I draft. So in those best ball leagues, somebody like Josh Gordon, you can take the chance on him late. You can get him in the 18th round. You would taken a chance on him in the 12th round. He'd probably be like your wide receiver 5 at that point. And if he came back, outstanding. And if he didn't, well, you had a dead roster spot. But people were willing to kind of take that chance and speculate on whether or not he'd be live or not for this season. The fact that they reinstated him and without suspension, to me, puts Josh Gordon in a spot where he's playing games without Rob Gronkowski. His stats in the games last year without Rob Gronkowski were outstanding. Right? When he got over 3 catches, he just blew it up. Now it's just him and Edelman in the passing game, possibly some James White as the third option on the Patriots. And that Patriots offense, though much maligned, if you look at their ADPs, they've really fallen this year. That team is still going to put points on the board. They're the favorites. They have the highest win total on the season. Josh Gordon going to be the wide receiver 1 on the outside, while Edelman may see more targets on the inside. Josh Gordon more explosive on a game-to-game basis and much more of a red zone target, at least from my perspective. He should be drafted in your leagues from about the wide receiver 20 to the wide receiver 24, depending on your taste, right? Well, I think he should be ahead of this guy, but below this guy. He's going to fall on all your rankings between wide receiver 20 and wide receiver 25. So somebody you definitely have to take account for and realize that if you want him, you're going to have to pay up to get him in your friends and family league or in an auction now that he is back live. Duke Johnson, based on the trade to Houston, has seen a tremendous rise as well. He's kind of settled where he's settled around pick 100 in most drafts, the 72.6 pick rise in terms of ADP. He is going to hurt Lamar Miller a little bit, where Lamar Miller was going to see more usage in the passing game. They got rid of Foreman and they picked up Duke Johnson. He is one of the best pass catching backs in the league, extremely elusive as well. When the ball's in his hands, he has the ability to make tacklers miss. And we should see an increase over his usage last year in Cleveland. So as a result, he shot up the boards as well. Matt Breida with a 39.9 pick rise. And that correlates with Jerick McKinnon falling, right? The number 2 running back in Shanahan's system has done very well. I made a point last season of accentuating that when McKinnon was going to be the running back 1 who was being drafted in the top couple of rounds. The running back 2 in Shanahan's system has seen over 150 to 200 touches every single season that he's been an offensive coordinator or a head coach. So if Matt Breida, who is much more suited to that Tevin Coleman RB2 role on a Shanahan offense, now with Tevin Coleman as the RB1 in San Francisco, Matt Breida goes to a place where he can probably get between 8 and 14 touches a game, some of those coming in the pass game, and be very successful on an offense that I think is kind of arrowing upward with Jimmy Garoppolo coming back. Tony Pollard has shot up because Zeke is nowhere to be found. He has also played very well in the preseason. Looks like a very solid running back on a team that does a good job of running the football. No matter where you are in terms of the metrics and the analytics, and people should be passing more and using more play action to set up the pass. You don't even have to run to use play action or to see quality output from play action. You don't need to establish the run, so to speak, in order to get positive effects from play action. All that stuff aside, if Zeke is not signed, and that's exactly what's being speculated on based on this ADP rise, is that Zeke is not going to be there at the beginning of the season, and maybe not for a few weeks. He said that he's going to sit out the whole year. I think that would be a mistake, but it is what it is. Tony Pollard has seen a rise, and he's being drafted around the 12th round, 11th or 12th round in most leagues that I've been doing, best ball leagues. And that's about where you're getting him as your RB3 to RB5. You're not drafting him as a starter. You start 2 running backs in those leagues. Yes, there's a flex, but if you have good enough wide receivers and tight ends, they're going to see a lot of those weeks. If Tony Pollard is the starting running back for the Cowboys and gets 15 to 22 touches a week, I don't think there's any way that he's going to be able to shoulder 25 to 27 carries or touches a game like Zeke did last year. But you give me 20 touches from a running back that you're getting in the 12th round, you're getting a lot of value. At the end of your friends and family leagues, this is somebody you can take a flyer on, especially in transactional leagues where you're not tied to this guy, right? You can drop him. If Zeke comes back, you drop him, you bring in somebody else off the waiver wire. Good value here as one of your bench running backs. Kalen Ballage has seen a rise as well, and that correlates exactly with Kenyon Drake's fall. As Kenyon Drake has been in a walking boot, we've seen an 18 pick fall in his ADP. We've seen a 26 pick rise in Kalen Ballage's ADP, as he is now the only running back that is there. Say what you want about Kalen Ballage. He's big, he's fast, in a straight line. He does not make players miss. He falls down after contact. He doesn't break very many tackles, but volume is king, guys. And you give me the guy that's unchallenged, at least for the first part of the season, as long as Drake is in a walking boot, and you know that Ballage is going to get carries where he's being drafted. Again, you're getting him around pick 100. The high end of this viz shows that the highest pick was somewhere around 65 ish. The lowest was around 125 on the last day of tracking. But generally speaking, he is essentially going around pick 100 in your drafts. You're not drafting him as a starting running back. So the fact that that correlates with this drop in Kenyon Drake, I assume that Ballage will pass Drake. Drake will fall below Kalen Ballage in drafts over the next 5 to 6 days as this weekend approaches with a lot of people's fantasy drafts. He's the back that you want if you want a Miami back, but who really wants a Miami back? But again, if you're drafting your RB4 or RB5, he's a fine pick to me. Damien Harris has seen a 29 pick drop, though he had a great weekend this weekend in preseason. Fantastic run, got him down to the 1 yard line. You're never going to get more than 35% of the snaps from a running back in New England. It's just the way it goes. He's not going to see work in the passing game. Sony Michel is the primary back. Damien Harris is still fighting with Rex Burkhead to be one of the other guys who's going to get touches. I have a lot of Damien Harris shares, but they've come really late in drafts. If he gets that Sony Michel role, if Michel gets hurt, fine, he will slide into that first couple of down role. He's not going to be utilized in the passing game. That job is totally soaked up by James White. He is going to get his 35% there. The hope here for Damien Harris is that he can get some goal line carries as well as getting some first and second down work, maybe as a spell back early and he's an injury away from being the lead back on the Patriots. There's value there, but as you can see, it's come back as all of these other running backs that you just saw in the risers column have kind of passed him with more secured jobs that they've worked on through the preseason. Andrew Luck, news of his injury has dropped his ADP greatly, where he was going in the 6th and 7th rounds of drafts. Now he's falling to the 9th, sometimes into the 10th round of drafts. I like that value a lot better, to be honest with you. He's not going to play in the preseason. Because people might be overreacting to this, you could get him at a value here. To me, Andrew Luck looks like a good value quarterback, as other guys have moved up the list who were value quarterbacks before. Guys like Cam Newton, Carson Wentz have moved up the draft board. Players that wait on QB aren't getting those guys anymore. Now Andrew Luck is falling into the late QB drafter range. If he's available in the 10th round of a draft, I still think there's value there. Might he miss a game or two? Yes. Hopefully he doesn't miss too many. The best hope is that he's there at the beginning of the season. As high as I am on this Colts offense, all of that is tied to how to having Andrew Luck be healthy at the beginning of the season. And your last two guys that have dropped the most, Dante Pettis, mostly on news. Who knows if it's reality? Dante Pettis' fall 19.9 picks over the last 20 days has been basically because of coach speak. They said, well, we don't know if he's going to be the starter. This is the problem with trusting coach speak. You'd never know if the coach speak is there because he's actually trying to light a fire under the guy, or if he's being 100% honest with the press. And I don't know where Shanahan falls, which side of the fence he falls in terms of that argument. Kiki Kuti injured once again. That's why his pick, or his draft price, has fallen over the last 20 days. That one's pretty obvious. But if Dante Pettis actually secures that outside role opposite Goodwin on the other side, and all this was smoke and mirrors to try and motivate Dante Pettis through the press to get him to work a little bit harder, smarter on the playbook or whatever. His talent and athleticism are undeniable. If he's the starting wide receiver, this is a great value for Dante Pettis. So take note of the drop. Invest if you want, but at least know that there is some caution there that is not quantifiable because it is based on coach speak. That's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys hanging out. I appreciate you checking out the videos that I've posted throughout preseason. The rise on this YouTube channel in terms of subs and views and everything as we started producing videos in preseason has been absolutely outstanding and greatly appreciated by me. So thank you for tuning in once again. Doing uploads 3 days a week minimum during preseason. Another video will be up on Wednesday and Friday. There's a couple of other videos that I've produced throughout the last couple of weeks. Go check them out if you would, and I'll see you in a couple days. Bye guys.